Welcome to the Steering Change Podcast, navigating through the commercial transportation industry in Alberta and beyond, powered by the Alberta Motor Transport Association. Here's your host, Kelsey Hipkin.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Steering Change. Whether you're the first person in your family to get behind the wheel or trucking and industry has been part of your family's story for generations, one thing can make all the difference: having the right people in your corner. In today's episode, we're talking about the power of mentorship and why a carrier that genuinely cares about a driver's journey creates lasting success, how great recruiting goes far beyond filling seats. It's about seeing potential, breaking down barriers, making yourself a little uncomfortable, and matching the right person with the right opportunity. We're going to welcome 3 special guests who will share their stories and explore how investing in people, not just positions, builds stronger careers, stronger companies, and a stronger industry. So wherever you are with your commercial transportation journey, this conversation is for you. First up, we're talking to Brent Bell, General Commodities Relocation Engineer with Action Transportation out of Nisku and 2026 Professional Truck Driving Championship Fred Deddle Rookie Award winner. Brent, welcome.
Good morning.
First, an easy one for you. Please tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into industry.
Well, I'm Brent Bell. I've been truck driving since I was 19. I'm 47, going on 48. My dad was a truck driver. He got me interested in it, got me loving it anyway. He used to take us on trips everywhere around the province, me and my brother, who was also a truck driver. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since. I can't do offices. I can't do cubicles. Walls drive me crazy.
Runs in the family. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
So, Brent, when you were starting out as a 19-year-old, you were already familiar with trucks with your dad and your brother, but as a newcomer to commercial transportation, were there people who helped you along the way?
There were. See, my first driving job, it was basically they threw me the keys and the paperwork and said, have at her.
Give her, yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I did, and there were some failures, and there were a lot of other drivers that would give me tips.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very thankful for that. And then my second job, I actually had a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was lovely. Have that guidance. So yeah, I would say, yeah, training. Oof. I needed mentorship.
Yeah. But do you think from that, so having that experience when you were first starting out, you didn't necessarily have someone kind of show you the ropes. It was a bit of a trial by fire. Now that you have been a driver for some time, does that help inform kind of how you help new drivers along?
Well, yeah, in my role here at Action, I am actually a trainer and mentor, and I get a lot of phone calls every day from people I've trained,
Yeah.
especially new people.
And how important do you think it is that new drivers have that support?
Oh, they definitely need it
Mm-hmm.
because the type of stuff that we haul day in and day out, if that stuff was to, let's say, fall off the truck and kill somebody,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, definitely need good training.
And kind of when you have a new driver coming on board, what are kind of those first steps that you are teaching or dictating on showing them the ropes?
Just slow down.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, you're going to make mistakes. Just try to make them small ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're going to hit something. It's inevitable. Trucks can be fixed. So I just tell them, just slow down. And if they get really nervous, it's like, just stop. And hopefully you're doing it in like a parking lot that you can stop and take a breath and go, okay, just slow down.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to go fast. You don't need to impress everybody. Of course, when you're backing up and people are watching and you're going back and forth 30, 40, 50 different times, then yeah, you're going to get an audience.
Mm-hmm.
But just take a breath and do it slowly. You'll get it in.
I mean, I
You'll
get
get
backup
where you're
anxiety in an underground parking lot, so what you guys do, extra props. On the flip side of that, AMTA here, we're very familiar with the Action team. We love you guys. How important is it that your carrier, your bosses are also supporting yourself and your drivers through that journey?
It's very important.
Mm.
And thank God that we have that support here.
Yeah.
Our managers, the owners, like if we need anything, they're there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, within reason. You can't ask for the world,
Yeah.
but anything for safety that we need, we get,
Awesome.
which is nice.
And for young, maybe they're not young, maybe they're doing a career change. For people who are interested in taking a look at what commercial transportation could be as a career, what advice do you have for them?
What advice? I would say do it.
Awesome.
Just do it. Yeah, like I understand the cost up front, the upfront cost for it now. I mean, when I did it, cost $1,300. Now you're well over 10 grand. So I would say do it. Try it. It's a great industry to be in.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, what
It
you
really
said,
is.
the four walls versus being out on the open road, we hear that from a ton of our drivers. Just you get to see so much of the, whether it's Alberta or beyond, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to see so much of the countryside. And yeah, you might see one person for an hour a day. If that's your thing and you're not a people person, great lifestyle.
I would like to thank you so much for your time today, Brent, but just wondering, is there anything you would like to add on today's chat?
I don't think so.
Okay. What is your number one safety or pre-trip tip?
Make sure all your lights are working and thump your tires and check your lugs. Those things are probably the most important three to make sure of. That will get you shut down at DOT and handed a crap ton of fines.
All right. Lights, thumps, lugs. All right, Brent, thank you so much for sharing your time and knowledge today, and we hope we can chat with you soon.
All right, you bet. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Brent. Take care.
All right, you too.
And now we're joined by Lisa Thompson, National Sales Executive with Adecco. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to this.
We are so glad you are here. We'll start with an easy one. Tell us a bit about yourself and the work that you do with recruitment and now Adecco.
So I have been in the staffing industry for about 35 years now. And the work that I currently do is to work with organizations at a national scope for large volume recruitment. And one of the areas I specialize in is in the transportation industry, as well as the logistics and energy sector.
Awesome. Thank you. And for those in the audience, that's how we at AMTA know Lisa, near and dear from back in our regional meeting days together. So, Lisa, let's kick it back a notch. We'll go back in time. And what advice do you wish someone had given you in your 20s? Professional, personal, or either or?
I think professionally, for sure, it would be to be very intentional and to be brave and not be afraid to ask for what you want or what you need.
Awesome.
And then personally, probably the same. Just don't be afraid, take risks, and make sure that everything you do intentionally with good ethics.
That's a great one, too. When we were talking with Josh, who was our next guest on this episode, he was talking about kind of the push, making yourself a little uncomfortable to make yourself better.
Absolutely. You definitely have to get uncomfortable sometimes in order to learn and push yourself forward.
So let's focus a bit more on the recruiting piece now. What qualities do candidates often underestimate in themselves?
For the candidates, and keep in mind, my role is in sales, not as much recruiting, but I hear time and time again from our recruiters, very often, especially in the interview process, people don't want to be bold and they're afraid to kind of toot their own horn. So people have to be unafraid to tell what they're successful at. And it's really important, even in resumes as well as the interview process, to show what you've done versus what the task was. Talk about your accomplishments. Talk about what you've been successful at.
So speaking of tooting your own horn, you and I participated in a Women in Leadership panel at the Women's Trucking Federation conference back in May. There's a really great story that you tell about mentorship and what people have to offer when their age doesn't necessarily fit a specific demographic. Can you tell us that story and how Adecco kind of embraces your knowledge and how you came to be there?
So, and I mean, I really love this story, especially for myself and especially for other people who are in the latter stages of their career. So I was working somewhere where I was very comfortable, but there was just something missing. But I was actually told, at your age, what kind of change can you think you deserve, or what kind of change do you think you should be able to go after? And so I had been listening to a podcast where the head of our company, Janelle Baylor, was speaking at the time. And the things I heard her say and the things I heard her embracing, I just had to know a little bit more about it. So I picked up the phone and actually called a headhunter that was connected with Janelle and said, is she the real deal? Is this really the way she leads? And she said, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to the headhunter, that's where I want to go and work. I decided I want to make a change. I'm going to be brave. 61, I want to just jump outside my comfort zone and do something totally different. And the exciting part about it and the best part about it is Adecco didn't look at age. They looked at what I could bring to the table,
Mm-hmm.
my intrinsic knowledge, the knowledge I had about the industry. And they never ever said, you're too old for this role, or you're not going to be able to handle this role, you're going to leave too early. They just looked at what they could get from me and how I could move that forward to bring success to the teams that I'm involved with.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And speaking of bringing it to the table, I consider you among my mentors through the work that you do, through the knowledge you impart on a regular basis. What impact do you hope that you've had on people that you've either worked with or mentored?
I hope they'll remember me for what I taught them and the way I delivered it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I would have to deliver tough messages to individuals that I can remember saying to one gal who came to me and said, I need some help. I'm struggling here. What can I do? And I said to her, do you want nice Lisa version that's going to tell you what you want to hear? Or do you want, yeah, funny enough, there is a nice Lisa out there. Or do you want the tougher version that's going to help you grow?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no, I need that tough version.
Yeah.
And what was so exciting about that, this person that I mentored, that I gave the tough version to, she took that, embraced that, and became Recruiter of the Year and actually won her first 100% club, where she won a trip to Monaco amongst recruiters worldwide. Yeah,
Fantastic.
So how exciting was that? She took it, she listened, and to this day we're still good friends, and we still will share stories and talk back and forth when we're looking at different ideas, and we work together that way. Obviously not in our day-to-day activities, but we still help each other out and say, hey, remember when we did this? Think about doing that when you're resetting for your next priorities.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now I'm going to ask you a question that I am also going to end up asking Josh. In your time, throughout your career, throughout your life, have you felt a shift of transitioning from mentee to mentor, or are you always in a state of learning and teaching?
So yes to both of those.
Mm-hmm.
So again, one of the great things that my change has done is it taught me a lot about some of the things that I thought I already knew, the teaching the old dog new tricks, so to speak. And so I think I'm always learning. I mean, that's one of the things, we learned growing up. You need to think outside the box. You need to not think you always know everything, and really focus on the things you can learn. But really in the role now that I'm in, my next goal is to not be the next vice president of sales or run Adecco Canada.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to really make an impactful difference to our customers and potential customers, as well as help individuals who are coming in new to the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to be able to sit down with a team. Very often people say, what would you do in this example? Or they will listen to me on the phone and say, wow, that was something really cool. Why would you say that versus this? So I think strongly mentoring, but I'm very fortunate at Adecco where I have a number of mentors as well that prepare me for all kinds of different things as I help move our business forward.
Amazing. So, Lisa, as always, thank you so much for your time and knowledge. Is there anything that you would like to add today?
No, I just wanted to thank you so much for this opportunity. Kelsey, it's been great watching you grow in your career from that drive up and where we saw cars in the ditches up to the AMTA.
Almost ran out of gas. Yeah, those are the days.
Western Limited Drive, where we learned all kinds of things about each other. And it's been an absolute pleasure watching you. And of course, who else is going to be on this podcast but Josh? And again, thank you for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much. To wrap today's episode, we're chatting with a familiar voice and face to the Steering Change podcast. In fact, there are few in the entirety of Alberta and beyond in the commercial transportation industry who I'm quite sure do not know this individual. I am pleased to welcome back to the show Josh Hannaberry, AMTA Senior Advisor, Strategic Partnerships. Josh, thanks for dropping in.
Hey, this is amazing. Thanks for having me back on, Kelsey. It means a lot.
Thank you so much for coming. I thought you would be a huge with your networking and just your overall skill with people, that you would be a huge asset to talk about mentorship today. So I'm going to start the same way as I did with Brent and Lisa. Please do tell us a bit about your journey in commercial transportation and your current role with AMTA.
Amazing. Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Lisa too. She's good people. Brent, you're awesome too, brother. So yeah, I've been in the industry now for going on 20 years, which to me is pretty crazy to think how fast time goes by, but kind of get to that point. Long days is short years. And in our industry, there's a lot of long days. So within that time frame, I've been fortunate to own a small trucking company at one point, to operating professionally as a professional driver in oil and gas and construction. And I remember when I first moved to Alberta, I was really interested in doing something outside of the truck. So when I first got hired on with the company, the gentleman that hired me, he said the same thing. He's like, I see your personality, so I think there's going to be an opportunity for you to, do something inside the office. It was a different manager that ultimately ended up hiring me in that role, but that's what I was able to do. But even through all my operational experiences to safety and risk, all that good stuff, I've always relied on the skills that I learned as a professional driver, which I think is super relevant to our conversation today about mentorship. And just have been very fortunate to be mentored by some amazing people. So today in my role as our Senior Advisor of Strategic Partnerships, a lot of my time is spent learning about the pain points of our industry, so the transportation industry, and identifying, okay, what can AMTA as an association, what can we do ourselves to help solve these problems? Or it's partnering with other organizations to, come up with solutions that are really value-based to just help our industry succeed.
Amazing. So Josh, take me back to those 20 years when you were a newcomer in industry. Were there people who helped you along the way?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny when you think about just good questions and you think about the journey, it's as long as Santa's list, for those that believe in Santa, obviously, but
yes,
just the list of people that have helped me intentionally by design, or I just saw their work ethic and I was like, I could be like that. It's been kind of an endless thing, but it's interesting too, where when I think about what is an intentional helping me when I'm first starting out. So if it's first starting out in a new job or in our industry as a whole, that's one thing. And then the other is those it was on me. It was for me to recognize I see greatness in somebody else and I want those attributes myself. When I was driving professionally, I actually remember when I first switched from living in British Columbia to going up into the oil field, huge advocate for oil and gas. And I was trained by competent people on how to use the equipment, how to put on a harness, how to do all these different things. And I could tell I was actually getting looked out for, which to me was just like, wow, okay, I obviously matter as a human being. And then one of my bosses, who's actually my last boss before I came back into Calgary, he really mentored me as a person. And he really reinforced the fact that the decisions that I make matter and that just because I don't have a title, I can still lead. And that was super, I'd just say that was super impactful in my journey, which I'm very grateful for. And then just my time spent in like specific health and safety, transportation safety roles, again, being new to not maybe our industry, but new to our role. It was the same kind of thing. And one of the best pieces of advice that I received from my former boss was not everyone's going to care about what you care about. So how can you communicate in such a way that it lands so they actually care about it? I'm still trying to figure that out some days, but I do think that, just those key messages and those reminders where you feel like you're running up against a wall and you're just like, why doesn't anyone else care? Oh yeah, it's me. Okay. So then How do I stop, pause, and then approach it differently? So that way you can kind of get different buy-in, which I think is super important for safety. But yeah, I think that's a good way to answer that question.
Okay, you triggered something there for me. You said that an individual had mentored you as a person. Is there a difference between mentoring a person and mentoring a role?
Oh, definitely. So the cool part about being a person is we're a person 24/7. Typically when you're in your role, you're within whatever your hours are that you work in a day. So when you're getting mentored in a role, you could become the best, whatever that is. So you could be the best cashier from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Your customer service is amazing. You're super happy. You're all these things because you want to be really good at your role. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're taking those attributes when you go home. When you're mentored though as a person, you can be a very nice, genuine person and bring those skill sets to a role, which I think is almost more important more often than not, because a lot of the skills can be trained, but character, that's a choice. And showing up with integrity and showing up with a good attitude, all of those things, I think that's a personal attribute that you can learn, because not everyone has the best day every day, and that's totally fine. But yeah, I think there's a big difference though between you as a person versus you in your role.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the differentiation, because like you said, I think it is huge, like who we are in our work pants versus our home pants, our life pants, whatever pants we're wearing at the time.
Well, I was going to hit on something there. So I like this, like, I don't know, personal development space and all of that type of stuff. And I remember hearing a long time ago that it's really hard to be a happy person at work and then be a really negative person at home. Like it's hard to be genuine one and then not the other. So when you work in an environment where I'm like, man, I'm happy, you do bring that home. And it's interesting because they go on about how you can, I don't know, you break down generational challenges and stuff like that, which I think is important. But when you decide, no, this is who I am, and I'm going to do that in my place of work, and I'm going to do that when I'm at the grocery store, at the gym, with my kids, whatever it is. Yeah, I think that's a good lessons learned for sure.
I think that's a really important answer as well, especially too when it ties into who you are and how you choose a company based on culture. So much of who you are is tied into what you bring to the role. So I think that is hugely important. So you had mentioned 20 years in industry. We've kind of covered the early days. Have you felt, do you feel, or is it kind of ongoing, a shift of transitioning from mentee to mentor?
That's such a good question. Yeah, and it's interesting because some of it I think is intentional, and then some of it I think is intuition. And you can intentionally go from a mentee to a mentor. Sometimes that's when your supervisor is just like, hey, so you're doing a really good job with this. I'm going to send the new person with you. So I'll talk about my professional driving experience because I had a lot of new people sit with me in the truck. And for me, it was a huge compliment. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to show them the ropes. I'm going to show them this is how, like, this is a standard that we set as a company. This is what our expectations are. That was really intentional. Where intuition comes into play is if you see someone that's not doing it the way that it should be done. So if it's from a safety perspective or just you obviously don't know what you're doing, and maybe you're not going to say that, but you're going to just say, hey, can I give you a quick hand? That's intuition. And some of that can be encouraged for sure. In safety, that's a big thing. If you see something, say something. But a lot of times, though, we're not taught to intervene, to help. A lot of times it's like, well, I'm doing a good job. I'm doing my job. And you don't really pay too much attention to the world around you. But when you're in an environment where you feel that your intuition is approved, it's appreciated, I think that's where greatness can really come in. And that's the feeling aspect, because being told, okay, Kelsey, you're going to do these things as a leader, you're going to start thinking. And sometimes it's funny, we start to overthink. And one of my favorite terms,
I don't know anything about that.
Well, it's why I think that's funny is it's ironic because you're a phenomenal leader. And I tell you that any chance I get. But when we start to overthink it and we start to really allow imposter syndrome to literally punch you in the face, I think that's sometimes the detriment of when it's an intentional, like you are now going to be doing. But when it's more of an intuition-based leadership or mentorship, and you are a leader, you're a really good leader, and you see someone on your team that just needs support, and you're going to go and you're going to mentor them how to maybe do it differently, do it better, or you're just going to check in on them to say, hey, I care about your growth, and I want you to go from this step to this step. That's also something that you possess. And I think a lot of our team across the AMTA, we have that because we care about the industry that we serve. But when you're very intentional, when you're really leaning into your intuition, I find imposter syndrome is less because it's self-produced versus it's the external pressure to become So it's a different feeling is the point I'm trying to make. And I think when you're in an environment, going back to work culture, when you're in an environment where that's really encouraged, we want to see natural leaders. We want to see leadership as intuition. We all have the capability to lead and to mentor and to encourage others. But not every environment allows you to bring it out. And that's where I think the really strong work cultures thrive, is all of a sudden this person over here, I had no idea they had that skill set. I had no idea they could teach other people. They could mentor other people. Well, it's because we fostered an environment where they can feel comfortable to do so. But yeah, I think there's definitely a feeling attached to both. And yeah, it's just a different feeling.
I think there was a really important point there too. And it's a small word. It's a trivial word, but it's care. When people take care to foster growth, or take care to check in with their employees, take care to check in. Your mentor doesn't need to be someone above or below you. It can be equal footing. It can be someone at a different company just because you like their style. So I just wanted to highlight the word care. Like, people might kind of glaze over it, but I think it's just huge that people who care versus people who are just doing it because it's in the job description.
I completely agree. And it's interesting how leadership, you don't have to have a title to lead.
Exactly.
You don't have to have a title to mentor. It's really about being a good person and seeing good in other people. Like, one of my favorite expressions is good people connecting with good people is a good thing, because good things can happen. And I think we're fortunate just working at AMTA that we see it every day, where, how many professional drivers go way above and beyond to solve problems and to help if it's the general public or their customers, all of those things. Well, their title isn't necessarily that, but they are great leaders and they are great mentors to others. So, but yeah, I love that word, care. Nicely said.
Absolutely. So let's take all of that, wrap it with a tidy bow. What is the power of mentorship?
So it's interesting is there's power on both sides. There's power in mentorship, and I also believe there's power in being a mentee. So I made a couple notes. I'm just going to kind of refer back to those on our YouTube that can see my eyes looking up and down. So when a mentee has to be ready to be mentored. And making that decision, that's power.
Yes.
Because it's very intentional to say, I want to grow. Because often when you're a mentee, when you're deciding I want to be mentored, it's typically not by obligation, but it's by choice. And it's being in the right environments, and it's about being around the right people. We're watching, again, I could brag about Kelsey for a very long time. And when I met Kelsey, 7 years ago to the Kelsey I see today, I know you were mentored by some amazing leaders. Shout out to Michelle. And I watched your decisions, though, to say, I want this. And that to me is power. And then it's also the flip side, where a lot of times when a mentor has the desire to mentor a mentee, they also have to make that decision, because it's time, and it's, well, do I want to give away my trade secrets? Do I want to invest my time into these people? So again, there's power in making that decision. But one of my biggest piece of advice, being mindful of the power that comes with the mentee-mentor relationship. And I was given this advice years ago, is watch who's trying to mentor you, because you don't always want to be that person, or you don't want the attributes of that person is trying to forecast onto you or push onto you. So I think that's another aspect when you bring it back to what is the power of mentorship. But anytime you have a choice to get better, I just think I see it as steps, and I just leveled up. And a mentor is going to challenge you. A mentor, I have a good friend named Kim Richardson, who he gives really strong mentorship advice as well, where a mentor's job isn't to comfort. Yes. It's not to coddle. It's to push. It's to encourage, because it's a safe relationship that you've established, where I see greatness in you, and this is where you're going to go. Let's get there together, and I'm going to help you. That's a strong mentorship-mentee relationship. And there, I believe that's true power too, for sure.
Embrace the discomfort.
I love that. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to drift a smidge. From my perspective, seeing you at work, networking is one of your, Josh Hannaberry's, strongest gifts. Is there a correlation between networking and mentorship?
Well, thank you very much. That's a big compliment. What's interesting, there is, to answer the question, there is. And what I think is super interesting is it really comes down to people. And I believe when you network with the right intention, it's really about adding value. And it's not a joke, but I often say I set the stage as this is my industry joke, is oftentimes networking is speed dating in industry. You want to find alignment, you want to find a need, and you want to find a way that you can add value. And oftentimes when you're networking, you can become a connector. So Kelsey has a challenge with I just thought of somebody that can actually help you solve. That's the connection. And I think mentorship is pretty much the same thing. It's having the desire to say, okay, where do you want to go? What challenges are in your way? And then how can I help? And often some of my greatest mentors, either like they chose to mentor me, or I call a mentor from afar because I'm reading their book and I like the content, is they loop in their network. So if you're on an island, you're really good at your island, but you don't really know the world around you.
Yes.
It's hard to, another expression, it's hard to help someone else see past their nose. There is a big, beautiful world out there, but if you can't see past that, whatever that is, inch.
Yep.
And when you have a strong network and you're able to build trust fast, that's the joke with speed dating industry, you're finding alignment of value. To me, it's the same correlation. And then the difference, though, is when you're networking and you're trying to build a connecting, you don't really go to the hard topics. You stick to the positives. You stick to, I can help you with that. Yeah, I can introduce.
Yeah.
Right. Where the mentor, like we just discussed, is really there to, you're uncomfortable. Good. Let's lean into that. And they're not a counselor. They're not going to.
Let's unpack that.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to say, you're going to go on stage anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so, but the correlation is definitely there. And I think some of the greatest mentors in our industry can rely on the information they've taught or they've been taught by others, which is networking.
Huge. Thank you. As always, your knowledge is always welcomed and appreciated. Is there anything you'd like to add on our conversation today?
First off, thank you again for just the opportunity, what you're doing with the Steering Change
Anytime.
podcast. You're crushing it. It's awesome. I think my biggest encouragement to those listening is be willing to be mentored. And when someone asks you a tough question or they call you out on your BS, good. Like, don't run from it. No, it's from a place of care.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing. And that's how you grow. So just, really lean into the desire that when you want more in life, there's people out there that want to help you get it. And as long as you do it within the right, obviously, ethics and all that good stuff. But really go for it for sure.
Beautiful. Chef's kiss. Thank you so much, Josh.
Thank you.
Once again, I'd like to give a huge thank you to all of our guests. Let's close with some quick news. A quick note that AMTA will release its 2027 course calendar at the end of September, and effective September 28th, government-issued photo ID will be verified at the start of all online and in-person classes, and webcams will be required to be turned on for online instructor-led courses. As well, AMTA's Drawdown Dinner takes place October 15th at the River Cree in Enoch, Alberta. Keep an eye on our website and socials for that. Our conference for 2027 takes place April 7th and 8th, also at the River Cree. Please keep an eye on socials for more details coming down the pipe. And please do register for our Safety Summit in Whitecourt on October 1st. Full details are on our website at amta.ca. Do you have any questions or comments about today's Steering Change episode or other episodes we've done in the past? Reach out on our Instagram at AMTA_CA or LinkedIn and Facebook at Alberta Motor Transport Association. Stay safe and see you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of AMTA's Steering Change podcast. The views expressed by guests of the Steering Change podcast are their own and may not reflect the views of AMTA, its hosts, or sponsors. Did you have a question that you would like answered on an upcoming episode of the Steering Change podcast? We want to hear from you. To submit a question to the Steering Change mailbag, hit up our DMs on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram with the hashtag Steering Change, and your question will be answered either live on the podcast or by one of our SMEs here at AMTA. We ask that you share this episode with those in your network that could benefit from what we discussed today, and make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you can be notified when future episodes are released. You can learn more about us and our mission by visiting www.amta.ca. Now get out there and have a safe day.